Here's what happened. Today I went for a run, and it's been like a couple of months, more than a couple of months since the last time I ran consistently. And it was something I would do a lot of times in the morning to get the day started. It'd feel energizing and exciting to get out there for a run. And then I'd come back and continue on with my day. But somehow, and I'm sure you had it too with you with a habit where it's such a good habit for you, but then somehow you look back and you realize, why have I not been doing this habit and sticking with it? Like, it's something I like. It's energizing for me. But then all of a sudden, like, months go by and you're like, oh yeah, shit, that'd be good to go back to it and do that running as a habit. And for me, that came up recently where my life partner, Adriana's brother, talked about how he wanted to get into running. And I felt this urge in me of like, oh yeah, like that would be something fun to do again too. And then Adriana, she talked about the New York Marathon. And I was like, oh yeah, like there was a double urge of, all right, let me do it. Like this would be fun. But then when I said the words that came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, actually, I'm taking a break from running and I'm focusing on strength training. And as I'm saying that, looking back, I'm like, why am I saying that? Like I actually enjoy running. I like this thing, but then I'm resisting it. And that can come up with change in our life, is we can resist the change. When we've been stuck in our patterns, we get comfortable in those patterns, and that creates a sense of safety within the body, which is super important, but it can cause us to feel stuck. And then we can have change that can happen to us, change that we either choose or that comes out of our control. And that is part of variety. And it is a need that we all desire. So through life, it's being able to toe this line between staying consistent with habits that are energizing us, but also making sure there is enough variety there so that we don't get bored either in that consistency. So I want to get into it, specifically talking about the morning routine of what to remember the next time you miss your morning routine, either based off of what you've done to do that, to make that happen, or things that are out of your control. This is Make Burnout Extinct. I'm Robert David Weeks. So today I want to get into that problem of you missing your morning routine, because going back to that story of running, today I went out for that run and it was so funny. I was running in like the middle of the road. For me, I like it because it's the most even for how it doesn't slope on either end of the road, where that can cause like weird imbalances and just feel weird as you're running on the slopes on either side of the road. So I try to run in the middle, make sure I'm like facing against traffic so I'm not going to hit a car, or a car is not going to hit me. And then running around the neighborhood. So when I did that, I remembered I had my jacket on. I had my water bottle on one hand, my phone in the other. I looked like a crazy person of like how I was running. I was just like, whoa, like struggling. I was like deep breaths. It'd been a long time since I ran. And it was like one of those moments of like, I felt like people were looking at me being like, what the hell is this dude doing running in the middle of the road? So I did 5 minutes and then I stopped. And I was like celebrating. I celebrated the effort and helped to remind the body of, I want to do more of this. And then I just kept walking for a few minutes. And then what happened is I felt this other urge of like, okay, dude, get back out there and run again. And I'm like, okay, I'll just do another 5 minutes. And so I put another 5 minutes on my timer and I ran. And this time I got a little bit better with my running. Like I wasn't breathing as heavily. I could actually feel like I was moving a little bit faster than I was, like a little bit faster than a turtle for what it felt like the last time. And I felt more comfortable on the road. And then the timer went off, celebrated the effort again. And then I did it one more time. And I was like, let me put another 5 minutes on the timer. Went around the new neighborhood, had to get some variety in with new environment, new scenery. Timer goes off. I'm feeling so much better than that last time too. I celebrate again the effort. I'm like, yeah, I did this. Hell yeah. And then I watched for a little bit more. And then another time I put the timer on for 5 minutes. And this time I like went so much faster than all the other times, felt so much more at ease. I felt stronger in my running. And there was this like surge of confidence within me. And then by the end of the minutes and the timers, I was like screaming with celebration. And I'm like, all right, someone's definitely going to think I'm a crazy person. But what I realized in that, looking back when I like looked at the time, was what I had expected of just doing 5 minutes that day. I ended up doing 20 minutes. It was a 300% increase in not only the running, but how I take that for the 300% increase is 300% increase in how I feel energetically, how I feel for the strength, for the confidence that I can then take that energy and pour that, which it hadn't existed before, pour that into other areas of life for the rest of the day and the week ahead. And to think for the morning routine that if that's just one day, imagine what then happens if that's consistently over a whole week and then a month and then a whole entire year, and just what that compounds for the rest of my life. Because I know for you want to move towards who it is you want to become. You have that vision for your life. You want to make an impact in this world and making an impact in the people around you because you care. And you want to do some epic shit for when it comes to the impact that you can have in the world, in general, for the adventures that you can take through your life. And you don't want to feel like you're staying stuck. And that's what can happen if we're not remembering a few things the next time you miss your morning routine. The first one to remember when you miss your morning routine is you don't need a morning routine. You really don't. Because you're listening into this. So if you've already missed a morning routine, you've gone on with your life and gone on with the day. It may not have been the best day, but you went through it. So you don't need that to be able to move forward in your life, to function. But you could want it. So to go through then this mental chatter that can come up, and I know it when I miss a certain habits that I incorporate in my morning routine. If that is for me, running in the morning, I like running and walking in the morning. I also like to be able to read my life vision. I create a life vision for myself, and I'm able to read that each day. Something I like to focus in on and do. So those are a few things, but it also could be meditation. It could be journaling, journaling out your thoughts, especially if you like to remember your dreams. It could be making sure you're getting your protein and calories in for the morning, so you have fuel going into the day. But to think that by missing this, that you are less successful, I just know from personal experience, it makes it harder to get back on track and to show up for the next day. So what you can remember for this is that focus on 90% for the goal. Give yourself the ability, let's say in a week, or even let's put it this way, in a month, a 30-day month, to allow yourself 3 days where you miss your morning routine or the certain habits in your morning routine. Because what that can do is you are committed 100% of the time to showing up and making this happen. But then you have what feels like a safety net to be able to either choose the days that you take a break from this habit, or because life happens, like anyone could tell you that, like not everything is going to go according to plan, especially when you have things going on in your life. You know this, but sometimes there can be this projected out reality that doesn't happen for the most successful people out there. And I just want to remind you that life happens to all of us and no one is perfect. And that includes that when it comes to the morning routine, things come up. If that is for business, having an emergency meeting that has to come up for a board of directors for the company in order to make some really important decisions where you're going to have to miss that meditation for a few minutes that you had planned in the morning. Or for families, it's like kids, they're having a situation and they need your help. And that's going to cause interruptions in that morning routine. So there's some stuff that are unexpected. And then there are things that just happen that you realize you went to bed super late the night before. You're just feeling you wanted to go through that series on Netflix. and you're just like, shit, all right, I woke up and I'm not able to do this morning routine how I thought. I need to get either a few more extra minutes of sleep, or it's just I got to go straight into work mode because I'm waking up late and I missed my alarm. Things happen. So whatever you're dealing with when it comes to why you're missing your morning routine, I just want to remind you it's natural to have that stuff come up because it's life. Things are not perfect. So I want to help you pump the brakes on thinking you'll have the perfect morning routine, because you're not. And there's nothing wrong with you because of that. There's no like the world is ending moment for you. There's no mentally beating yourself up. It's just realizing that that's the case. Now getting into some practical ways and strategies that you can remember for yourself. When you miss your morning routine, what you can do is remember flexibility. So let's say you meditate in the morning for a few minutes, or you're journaling, you get a workout in, you like to go to the gym in the morning, but all of a sudden you just are not feeling it. You're feeling defeated from the night before. You feeling like you need to get a little bit extra sleep in. That can happen, and that's okay. It's a moment though to check with yourself and to realize, check in with your body in that moment and literally take a moment just to bring your awareness to the rest of your body. This is what can be called a body scan, where you can start from the toes and work your way up throughout the body and really feel if there's intense tension, intense exhaustion. Are you feeling like you can barely get out of bed? Because there's a difference between feeling exhausted from the night before and having a rough sleep, we're going to need a little bit of extra time to sleep, compared to you just don't feel like it. And you have the energy to be able to go do this thing for the morning routine. So when you can have that awareness and realize that it's just because you don't feel like it, but you have the energy to do it, that will be a moment for you to push through, because you can remind yourself that what is missing right now is a variety in your day. So perhaps instead, when you're going to go and get your workout in, or let's put it this way, if you're going to go for your walk outside, instead of going your usual path, try a new path. That's going to stimulate variety in your life. If you tend to meditate in your bedroom, meditate in your living room. If you tend to journal in your bed, get out of your bed. Changing environments creates variety. And what will happen is then there'll become less resistance from the body for you to show up and put in the habits for your morning routine. And that's so important here to remember that, because there has to be both of structure and consistency, so you feel safe to continue to move towards your vision and your goals that you have for your life, and then variety, so you don't get fucking bored, because it can be tough. So that'll be something to remember. Another thing to think about is flexibility in the time of day. So this is especially helpful for things that are just out of your control, where you wake up and you get a call from work where you have to deal with a certain situation, or you see that in a message on your phone, and you're going to have to cut your morning routine short. That is where you can remember flexibility. So there's two forms of flexibility that you can remember here for the habits that you're doing in your morning routine. The first one is shortening the actual habit. So going back to walking, because that's the one I really like doing. Instead of doing 30 minutes walk, which you may usually do, instead bring it down to 5 minutes. And that still counts as putting in a rep for that habit. It's just you didn't get the full time in. And that it doesn't matter, because the body doesn't remember the exact amount of time. If it was 5 minutes or 30 minutes, all it remembers is that you went outside and you walked. And that is then a moment that you can celebrate for the body to remember this is what you want more of, so you can stay consistent on the next day where you have more, where you have the full amount of time available to you to be able to do that habit. And then there's a flexibility in remembering that you have an entire day. So let's say in the morning, you're not going to be able to do the habit at all. Well, you could still go for that walk at night. Let's say for the sunset, or when you come back from work, if you're going to an office, you could come back and figure out a time. And again, it could still, instead of your usual 30, it could be 5 minutes at night, you go for that walk. But again, all of this does, and I know it sounds so silly, but it's so powerful for the body, is that it is reminding the body that you want more of this, that this is something that brings you comfort and safety and energizes you and is a desire for you. Because what we can focus in on, we amplify in our life. And that is so powerful to keep the momentum going in your life. And again, remembering that by celebrating those small wins, they lead to the big wins. And it really, that's what it's about, is focusing on these small moments day to day in our life. Another one for you is remembering achiever mode. And I've talked about it, of celebrating the effort. I remembered when I would first celebrate different experiences of habits that I really liked doing in the morning, like going for finishing my walk in the morning, or being able to do my voice exercises was just so helpful as a speaker, being able to focus in on that. I struggled with celebrating. I remember like I would just be like kind of like a kid, a scared little kid that's hiding, playing hide and seek even, and like trying to like stay quiet. That's how it felt like for me for celebrating. It felt awkward. It felt weird. I was like, what do I even do with my hands? Like, how do I celebrate? So it had to take time for me to celebrate. So if you have a resistance towards celebrating after you complete a habit, I want to remind you that you're not alone in that. It does get a little awkward at the beginning, but it's, again, part of habit formation is you have that first phase, the awkward phase, where the body's trying to get used to it. But what's so helpful with the achiever mode is that when you celebrate the effort, and again, it could be short, again, going back to flexibility, it could be a habit that you've shortened for your morning routine. And so just still celebrating in that way, or it could be you go for that walk later on in the day. And that's then a moment to celebrate again that you complete that habit. But celebrating, it's literally creating this movement throughout the body that energizes. With movement, it causes the body to produce energy. And by producing energy through movement, all of a sudden your body is like, this feels good. It wants more of it. And if you look back at those moments of you celebrating life, if that was celebrating after a first kiss, maybe celebrating after scoring a goal, or celebrating your birthday, like there is this like energy that the body goes back to of reminding, oh yeah, this is something you want more of. It floods the body with all these memories of excitement and desire for more, which can help when it comes to the momentum of continuing to show up for the next day to do this habit again. Because somehow we can forget that it does take hard work to show up and put the reps in towards your morning routine, and specifically the habits in your morning routine. And of course, when we miss that, it hurts. It's like, it feels like you've not honored one of your commitments. So it's important to remember that, yes, you have the goal of 90%, but especially when you first are starting this for your morning routine, let's say you've really been off track with your morning routine, where you're constantly, it's like you do it one day and then you miss it the next day. And you're noticing this pattern where every other day you do your morning routine. Just realize that you can jump a little bit further ahead than where you are. So instead of it just being one day you do the morning routine, another day you don't do the morning routine, focus on a goal of, I'm into 2 days in a row for the morning routine, and then to celebrate that. And you can stick with that for a little while, for for a week, and then up it to, I'm going to try to do 3 days in a row for next week. And that just small incremental growth compounds over time for your life. And you're going to be then looking back on a year or 2 years or 3 years and realize, I know this from personal experience, of wow, you feel like a whole new person. Yes, you have the same values, like you got the same, same hair, like it's you, maybe not the same hair, depending, but you realize how much you've grown, and it's so fucking awesome, and it feels great. And then is a moment to continue moving forward and seeing what else is possible for your life. Because again, being able to focus in on these habits that are energizing for you, it's not only going to move you away from burnout, but also what this does is it helps you to open up more doorways of possibilities for your life, which again is something I want for you to be able to get unstuck and continue to move towards who it is you want to become. So celebrating, make it happen for yourself. give yourself that amazing gift. The next one I want to talk about for you is a push start. So I think about at the end of the night when I'm winding down, like usually I rush it. For me with my habits, like I have a few habits I do. One is voice exercises at the end of the night. I do that mainly. I used to do it in the morning, then I switched to that at night. I really like it at night. And for these, I'll go through like a series of different voice exercises that'll cause me to I could reconnect with my body. It feels good. I try to do it like sometimes go to the garage so I don't like wake anyone up. But it's a moment for me to reconnect with my body. And then I'll go through breath, like these breathing exercises, so that I'm being able to really reconnect with my body fully through my breath. And then I'll do affirmations as well as a reminder of giving myself some love. And then I will celebrate and remind my body, I want more of this. So I do that at the end of the night, but I'm like rushing, and I'm because I have a certain time I want to go to bed. It's usually 10:30, and that's on and off that'll happen for me. But my focus is to make that a goal every time. And right before that, I go turn off the light. I do a push start. So this is something where I feel it's movement related, but it's something that is a little extra of a challenge where I really just want to go to bed. Like you had those days where you're just like, oh man, I really just want to go to bed, sleep, get ready for the next day. But if I, in that moment, can do something for just a few seconds, doesn't have to be long, that is movement related. So I could get some bands and I'll do corrective exercises, or I'll do a few push-ups. But what this does is it reminds my body that I can face challenges and I can do something that is uncomfortable and something when I'm not really feeling it. And then I'll celebrate afterwards, so that I celebrate being able to step into this challenge. And then I'm able to go to bed. But for my body, what it remembers, one of the last things it remembers is that I can handle challenges. I can face challenges and move through challenges. And sometimes I'll do things that I don't really want to do. And all of a sudden my body is sleeping for, the goal is like 8 to 9 hours sleeping. And that's what's building within me, is that awareness of, oh yeah, like I can face the challenges. And that is momentum that is building for you. And especially on the days where you miss your morning routine, doing a push start at the end of the night can set yourself up well to get back on track faster, to going back to the morning routine. Because when you miss a day, there creates friction there. It's becoming a start of another habit of missing the morning routine. So it's in that moment where to get back on track fast is at the end of the night when you do that push start. It's momentum of saying to yourself, you can show up even when you don't feel like it. And especially when you're waking up in the morning, like, it, you just want to like hang out in bed, cuddle with your partner, cuddle with your dog and chill. Like you don't really want to get up sometimes. You're just like, oh dude, like I gotta get up right now. You just want to hang out. So that's where you're going to have to get out of bed when you don't feel like it to continue your morning habits. And what usually happens, right, is you start to do those morning habits, part of your morning routine, and then you feel great. And then you're like, why the hell did I stop doing these? And that gets you back on track and moving forward. Now, for those of you that are the all or nothing, my life partner, Adriana, she's like an all or nothing approach. She's like either all in or all out for when it comes to the morning routine. If you can't get it set up, like she'll like put it off and decide not. And I keep telling her, I'm like, just show up for a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just show up and do a few minutes. And it's a reminder to you of like, you don't have to make this perfect. You don't have to have the sequence of habits for your morning routine, because I'm going to tell you, being relying on that morning routine for you to move through your day is setting yourself up to stay stuck and stay in this chapter of life that you're in, because life is going to happen and you're going to get off course for your morning routine. And I want to remind you from the beginning of what I said, you don't need a morning routine because you're functioning. You're functioning through your day-to-day. You're moving through your day-to-day. You're here listening to this podcast. You want to remember that you can still move through your day. And it's realizing that. And a way that you can remind yourself is that push start at the end of the night. That is like your safety net for momentum. And remembering that nobody is perfect. I know how hard that can be to realize that nobody's perfect, but we're not. I remember like wanting to put the mask on outwardly, and I put the mask on for myself of trying to become this perfect image of who I thought I had to be. And I want to just tell you, you're amazing as you are. You are such a beautiful gift in this world. To realize the odds of you being born is 1 in 400 trillion, like 1 in 400 trillion. Let's let that sink in. It's a moment for you to check into life and to realize that you don't need that morning routine as a crutch to move through your day. And to realize with sense of urgency that you only have a certain amount of time in this life. So go for it. Don't let perfection hold you back. Move forward with progress towards who it is you want to become. And when you can look back and take that moment to reflect, you're going to get so excited then for what else is possible for your life. Because you checked out of life before you came into this world, you're going to check out of this life when you leave. Check in now. There are body sensations that can be your check-in to remind yourself, wait a second, I'm checked out right now, and I got to check back in. And those are the sensations that can come up either right when you're in bed, about to get out of bed to start your morning routine. And it could even be the night before where you're feeling that draining energy. And that's a reminder to do the push start. So some of those body sensations could be literally a draining feeling where it literally feels like you're drained and you're sinking to the floor and feeling like it's a lot harder, like almost like your feet are cement blocks that are moving through your day. You're just like drudging through. And it's just like, you're like hunched over. It feels like I'm thinking of like the Hunchback of Notre Dame here is coming up. It's just like you're hunched over and it feels draining. Another sensation is resistance that can come up in both scenarios where in the morning or at night. All these are either morning or night, and sometimes even throughout the day, but especially on those two times when it comes to the morning routine. Resistance where it feels like your body's hitting against an imaginary wall. It's just like hitting against the wall, and it's feeling so hard to like get out of bed. It almost feels like the whole blanket is on you. That can be another moment to remember, okay, am I checked out right now? Do I got to check back in? Another one is pressure. You can literally feel that pressure, like a balloon filling up within your body of wanting to, or of not wanting to lean into the habits that are going to be energizing for you with your morning routine. Then there's that brain fog that can come up. It can also come back when you're watching a few episodes of a show back to back. You can have that brain foggy feeling, kind of feel out of it. And then there's numbing, where if you're checking in, if you notice that you can't really feel, that's then another body sensation. That numbing can happen right in the morning before getting out of bed or leading into going to bed. So when you notice those body sensations, that's a reminder for you. Check in and show up and put in the reps. And I want to remind you, if you haven't heard it yet today, I believe in you. You're so capable to get back into your morning routine. And then just to realize you don't need the morning routine. You can still do those habits. Let's say the walk, the gratitude, the journaling. You can do those habits. But if life hits you for a few days, just remembering you have the whole entire day to make it happen for those habits. You got this. If you like this episode, please don't forget to rate this podcast to help get this message out of Make Burnout Extinct. And you can share what resonates with you from this episode by connecting with me on my Instagram or LinkedIn. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. I don't take that for granted, and I'm so excited to reconnect again soon.